At least one woman has come forward to say she was abused by sex offender Jeffrey Epstein while he was on work release as part of his 2007 plea deal. So that sweetheart deal had him offending again. A lawyer representing Epstein accusers said yesterday that the wealthy financier who was allowed to have visitors while he was supposed to be working during the 13-month sentence took advantage of the arrangement to engage in improper sexual contact, but added that the new accusers may not have been minors.
He was in his office most of the day, and what I can tell you is he had visitors, female visitors. I don't know that any of them were underage. And the female visitors were there not for business. What he did on a daily basis is engage in these types of sex acts with young adults and children. What he did to make his money, I don't know. What he did legitimately outside of engaging in these sexual misdeeds, I don't know. Nor do any of the witnesses that we have ever deposed.
So many questions here. Meanwhile, Epstein's lawyers explained the doctored passport found in his home, which shows Epstein's photo with a different name while listing his residence as Saudi Arabia. According to court papers filed yesterday, Epstein's lawyer said the passport was for personal protection in the event of travel to dangerous areas, only to be presented to potential kidnappers, hijackers, or terrorists should violent episodes occur, adding that Epstein's Jewish faith and ample finances made him a target in the Middle East. Attorneys say the travel document came from Austria and expired more than 30 years ago. So we want to show you now some footage from 1992 that our producers found in the NBC archives that shows Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, who is now a sex offender and accused sex trafficker, looking at and talking about women at a party.
Welcome to the Southern White House.
Since becoming president, Donald Trump has branded Mar-a-Lago the Southern White House, a place that entertains foreign leaders, where military strikes are ordered, and whose terrace served as an open-air situation room over dessert.
And we had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen.
But in the 90s, Mar-a-Lago was Trump's South Florida party palace, one frequented by Jeffrey Epstein, who is facing charges for sex trafficking. He has pleaded not guilty. The president says his relationship with Epstein was no different than anyone else in their elite circle.
Well, I knew him like everybody in Palm Beach knew him. He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years. I wasn't a fan.
Yet, a tape in the NBC archives of a Mar-a-Lago party shows Trump giving Epstein his personal attention.
Donald! Donald! Donald!
The footage, shot in November of 1992, before Trump opened the resort as a club, shows the future president surrounded by cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins, capturing Trump's fun-loving bachelor lifestyle for an appearance on Faith Daniels' NBC talk show.
We're going to get great ratings in your show.
Trump is surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests, among them the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in. Go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges. Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances, Trump gestures to one and appears to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot." And then Trump says something else into Epstein's ear that makes him double over with laughter. But as the president says now, he never liked Epstein.
I was not a fan of his. That I can tell you. I was not a fan of his.
Looks like a big fan of Epstein.
I feel like I saw Ghislaine Maxwell. I believe that's the reported recruiter for Jeffrey Epstein, and I thought she was in the background there. Again, here's what Donald Trump said to New York Magazine about Epstein in 2002. I've known Jeff for 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life.
And we certainly saw that there, Willie. I saw it very clearly. He and Epstein, they're very much enjoying that party. And Donald Trump saying he never liked Jeffrey Epstein, once again, proven to be a lie.
Yeah, he says, I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you. The president said that last week, obviously. He was a fan, we can see there. We can see it in the quote from 2002 in New York Magazine. It's all there. He says the relationship broke off about 15 years ago. The good news, Elise Jordan, is that the Southern District of New York is going to put all this out into the open. There's going to be a trial, and we'll get to the bottom of this. We don't know if President Trump or then businessman, TV host Donald Trump is implicated in any way, but there are a lot of powerful people in New York and elsewhere that have reason to be nervous for what's happening downtown in the Southern District.
They should be, and Epstein should be he should be in prison right now, and I'm glad that these victims are finally getting to see a predator where he should be. And again, kudos to Julie Brown and the Miami Herald for their persistence sticking with this story. I am still just a little bit by that video we just saw of the two guys having the time of their life at Mar-a-Lago in '92, and just yesterday there was an item in New York Magazine referencing a 2000 profile by Maximum Golf magazine, and it talks about Epstein and Trump, how Epstein hitched a ride with Ghislaine Maxwell, the fixer, the pimp, the co-predator on his private plane. So we know there's at least an 8-year stretch where they were tight enough where Donald Trump was welcoming Epstein onto his plane, and that seems pretty significant, that it wasn't just a casual friendship. I mean, if I had a plane, I wouldn't just let anyone on it. Steve probably doesn't.
Certainly not Jeffrey Epstein. Look, I think it's clear that they were obviously friends and close and all that, and they had this falling out in 2002, and there were various rumors about why they had it. So there's a kind of before and after part to this relationship between the two of them, which we will eventually get clarified.
This is all just so utterly depressing. He's president of the United States.
Utterly depressing. And also, Mike, when Elise brought up Julie Brown and the fact that she and the Miami Herald have really made this come to light again and demanded justice once again, you cannot help but go back to Alan Dershowitz and the letter that he wrote. Alan Dershowitz, who's been accused of wrongdoing. Alan Dershowitz's letter to the Pulitzer Committee arguing that the Miami Herald and Julie Brown should not receive a Pulitzer. This for a man already accused, and for a newspaper and a reporter who has done what, my God, nobody in the federal government or any state government's been able to do, and that is to bring this man to justice.
Yeah, we should point out that Professor Dershowitz has countersued on that accusation, denied it vehemently. But the bottom line, Joe, to your point about the Miami Herald is a newspaper. Enemies of the state, enemies of the people, as Donald Trump has referred to much of the media. And without the Miami Herald, without Julie K. Brown writing doggedly over many, many months about this story, none of this would have been exposed.
That is for sure. And we will stay on the story as well. Coming up, we have new polling out of New Hampshire to show you. We're digging into the new numbers, and that is straight ahead on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.